Welcome, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you're all having a fantastic Thursday, or rather a better Thursday than I am having, at least at this point. It's a little bit better, but it has been ruined in other ways. But we are coming to you live from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. I hope you're all having a wonderful day or night, wherever it is. I hope it is just right. And yes, as you can see, unfortunately, I am not up here by myself, but that does not mean I'm alone. I still have the amazing and ever wonderfully talented Mr. TJ Knacker with us, folks. TJ, how you doing, man? I know it was stressful getting in here, but
Yeah, I'm doing good. I enjoyed my little snowmobile ride in here, doing about 30 on the highway. It was fun, challenging, and it was very nice to listen to some Jimmy Buffett and try and escape while I was driving.
Hey, there you go. It's some Jimmy, cheeseburger in paradise, right? A little something to keep you out of the mood of knowing that you're frustrated and angry with the snowy weather that is Chicago. I mean, it's bad here, folks. It's not as bad as it has been in the past, but it's like one of those moments where it's the eye of the storm, right? We had the good eye of the storm, not a lot of snow or anything like that, and all of a sudden this just dropped on us. So, yeah, not fun at all.
Well, it wouldn't be as bad if it hadn't been 50 degrees and it all melted yesterday.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, it's like, damn, snow's back again.
Right, exactly.
I just got rid of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this right now. At my work, I have to, as a security guard, I've got a huge parking lot I got to look after. The salt trucks were out there well before the snow ever hit. I mean, it was still raining out when they were putting down the salt. I don't know what that does. I would assume it just washes away the salt, but they were getting pre-prepared for everything because who knows? So I'm hoping I don't go into an ice rink at my job. We'll see. But, to anybody in Illinois or the Midwest at this point, hope you guys are safe. Hope you guys are careful driving home. Hope you're not watching us while driving. If you are, please don't. But also, too, folks, we're officially back on Twitch. We had a little bit of a issue yesterday, but we're back. We're on Twitch. So if you guys want to catch us live, you can catch us here for sure. Also on YouTube as well. But my man, TJ, are you ready to get this going?
Do it.
Let's do it then, folks. So we're kicking the first half off here, folks. And we're going to start this off with the NBA. Yes, that's right. The NBA, we are officially hitting the All-Star break. And because of that, I thought it would be nothing better than, of course, to see where all these teams are at for the NBA All-Star, right? I mean, we're at the pinnacle point. We're at that moment where teams are kind of trying to sink or swim. I mean, you are who you are at this point. You're trying to fight for a chance in the playoffs. Some really, really good-looking opportunities here. We'll see how this plays out. But, folks, let's just get right into it. So let's start with the Eastern Conference, where we have the quote-unquote playoff six, if you will, that I've kind of named them. The playoff six being the top teams right now in the Eastern Conference that are a lock for the playoffs. So as of right now, Chicago Bulls are number one after their win last night against Sacramento. Then it is the Miami Heat, just about a half game back, I believe, on the Bulls at this point in second, followed by the Milwaukee Bucks, then the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Philadelphia 76ers, and finally, back in it again after a long ways away, was the Boston Celtics. So, TJ, I'll ask you this. Obviously, with the way this ranking is right now, or the standings are in the East right now for the playoff six. Obviously, we're Bulls fans, so there's going to be some love here for Chicago for sure. But with the Bulls, is there any other team, too, that you see that you really like, that you think you like about being in the playoffs right now? And then is there any team that you don't like being in the playoffs right now that may fall out? And is there a surpriser out there in this playoff situation? What are your thoughts?
Well, the top six, I mean, yeah, I do like the Bulls. Of course, we live in Chicago, so.
Right. A little bit of bias on
bias,
it.
Yeah. I always like Milwaukee. You can't let Giannis, you let him go without being a playoff contender. I mean, he is everything for them, and as long as he's doing well, they're going to be successful.
Yeah.
The one I see Cleveland being one of those teams that you don't want to be matched up with in the first round because they are tall and fast and young.
Yeah.
And they'll beat some people. So, I mean, of my dark horse, I would probably say Cleveland of this bunch. It's
Okay.
probably going to cause some problems.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, obviously, listen, the Bulls, I mean, they're in cruise control, right? Congrats to DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, he passes Wilt Chamberlain for most games with 35 plus points, hitting 50% from the field. It just an incredible player for what he's been able to do with this Bulls team, really leading the charge. The word is that Levine's supposed to be back by after the All-Star break. After that, Caruso's supposed to be back the week after that, and then 2 weeks after that, I guess, is when Lonzo should be 100%, and then hopefully by, I think they said end of March, maybe early April, the beginning of April, P. Willie should be back. So who knows? This team could look really fearsome. We do now have the news that Tristan Thompson's going to be bought out by the Pacers, and he's already said he's going to be signing with the Bulls. It's a nice move. I don't know if it's going to make them any better. I know he's a defender. It's going to help, I think, in some way. Gets the pressure, I think, off of Derrick Jones Jr. and a little bit of pressure off of Vucevic to play defense. So I like that. Miami, I think, and Chicago are two of the same, right? It's a lot of the similar kind of play. I think Miami's defense might be a little bit better, and their three-point shooting might be a little bit better. But they're I think very similar. There's a I don't exactly know, but a mirror image. That's what I'm looking for. They're a mirror image almost of each other. Other than I would say Tyler Hero is certainly a baller coming off the bench for that team, where the Bulls don't really have that. I agree though. Cleveland's, and I don't know how you think on this, TJ, but is it possible to say Cleveland is the mirror image of the Utah Jazz, you think? Because when I look at Utah, they're pretty long, they're pretty tall, they're pretty quick, right? Donovan Mitchell's kind of their leading guy in the charge. Darius Garland's kind of been their leading man of the charge. I would have said Colin Sexton, but he's been out, and Garland's really stepped up. And it just feels like they're running a lot, like Utah works a lot of defense, right, and counterattacks. Cleveland seems to be the same way. We'll go really big with these guys. We'll run a lot of defense, get the counterattacks, and that's how we'll beat teams. So I agree. I think Cleveland could be that dark horse. They could be that team that comes out of there. My only fear is that because you have so many big men, it doesn't mean they're necessarily the fastest team. Because, I mean, Jared Allen can jump out of the gym, but they're not a very quick team. They're very long. That's about it. I don't know what's going to happen with Philly. Not a clue.
I mean, I honestly, I'm going to talk about it in the next one, but
yeah,
Philly, I just see kind of dropping. I mean, I like the move to get Harden.
Yeah,
to have a score to kind of move everything around, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you lost a lot with that trade to get rid of Ben Simmons.
Yeah. I mean, listen, your bench is a little bit depleted now, but obviously this means that Philly's going forward and saying, hey, we're going to ride with the starters. So I think Philly will stabilize. I think they'll be just right where they are. I don't think they may get a little bit better, but I don't think they're going to get any better than where they are right now. I think it'll certainly work out better than, and we'll get to the other team here. It'll work a lot better for them than it will obviously the team that we'll get to next. Milwaukee's Milwaukee. I'm not even going to get in with them. They are who they are. They're going to be good. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be competitive. Boston is interesting, though. They've been really leading the charge. They've been really good defensively. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are really starting to emerge at the right time. They've had a few injuries, but this is what I expected to happen maybe with Boston. They had struggles early, right? And in the late push, this is where we kind of start to see where Boston's best is at. And I think this team right now is in a good position to lock up the 5th, maybe the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. They could be another dark horse in this. I mean, they've got the playoff experience. They've got the talent. They added back Daniel Theus. I mean, they've got a good team out there. Will they win a championship? I don't know, but that's tough with Boston, right? Like we always think that Boston has a really good team. We just don't know if they're championship caliber. That's the tough thing about it. It looks like they almost peaked too early when Jason Tatum was a rookie and they made the Eastern Conference Finals and then they got beat by LeBron. It's just tough for me to kind of get sold on Boston winning a title all of a sudden. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But let's move into the play-in tournament, guys, for the East, right? I mean, this is kind of where the mass hysteria is going to go. So you have Toronto right now sitting in 7th place. They're right there. They've really improved a lot. You've got Brooklyn. I'll deep dive into them in a little bit. I mean, we already have, but I'll get more into them. Charlotte, I think they need something to help stabilize that team more. They're young, they're athletic. They need a little bit more, what are you looking for? Experience. They need to get a little bit more mature, a little bit older, but they're a fun team to watch. They're still, Miles Bridges is playing out of his mind, and LaMelo Ball looks great. So I can't wait to see what more they can do. And then you have Atlanta, and I don't know. I don't know with them anymore because now I've heard from Clint Capella that he's calling out his teammates, but he's kind of calling out the team, saying like, I'm the only one who's really focused on defense. Everybody else is just scoring points. I'm the one who's trying to play defense here. So is the locker room all together there? I don't know. That's now becoming a question for me. And then the other two teams that are kind of sitting on the out at this point, trying to play their way in, Washington and New York. I mean, for me at least, Washington. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like Kristaps really does anything for them. Just me. New York, what is it? 3 games now where they've had the lead by 10 plus points or something like that, or 20 points, and they've blown every one of them. This team may need to get blown up. Somebody asked us the question about that yesterday, Jesse, in New York. He's like, do the Nets and the Knicks need to blow it up? And me and Drew said emphatically, no to the Nets, probably and absolutely to the Knicks. Right, and I've even heard this. Worldwide West, William Wesley, who is the GM or the president for the Knicks, puts a lot of the blame on Tom Thibodeau. Not a good look for the Knicks. Not good at all. But TJ, I ask you this, man. Of these play-in tournament guys, I've made my peace with them. I'll dive on the Brooklyn Nets when you've said it. But what are your thoughts on the play-in tournament guys? Who do you think can actually maybe sneak into that playoff 6 teams? Is there anybody that you think might drop out of the playoffs? Is there anybody that you think in the bottom might be able to sneak in? What are your thoughts?
Well, what we're going to talk about is I said, Brooklyn.
Yes.
Brooklyn now, now that you have Andre Drummond, I know he's not the same Andre Drummond, but he is still a solid center for you.
Right.
A strong defensive center. So now when you go against the 76ers, when you go against the Bucks, you have a true center who's willing to get in there and bump and grind for those rebounds and is not going to be able to be pushed around.
Yeah.
You also now have depth with Seth Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have another guard, and it's going to be able to go out there. He's not going to be – I love James Harden, but he does shoot the ball like 30 times a game. That's the only way he can be a high scorer is he gets the volume. Seth Curry is more of a team player. So I see him trying to be able to get in there and get his points and help the team.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, like Atlanta, after the Cam Reddish trade, that was the red flag and white flag essentially to me.
Yeah.
That this team was done. They're just going to try and sell off assets. They'll keep Trae Young probably, and then probably dump as much as they can. New York, God, I feel bad for that team because they were just doing a rebuild. They just got was the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the top picks, and now you're gonna have to rebuild again because you just didn't do it right.
Right.
And you brought in Derrick Rose. That's great. You got Julius Randle. I think you're gonna have to use those pieces to get younger and get a first round. I don't know if you can get a first round pick for Randle, but you should at least be able to get something good for him. Mm-hmm. So, I don't see. God, that is a bunch of hot garbage at the bottom. I don't see Washington and New York being able to creep in
Yeah.
there.
It's tough. The whole thing with Brooklyn, again, I give Philly a lot more opportunity because they got one. I think they got the more established player, the player that can actually play in the league, that is actually playing in the NBA, even. Albeit, yes, he quits on teams. He has an attitude problem. He certainly, the word is out that KD wanted James Harden traded away because they just weren't getting along and all that stuff. And I will say this, that kind of leads me to now say and listen, I think KD is a great player. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, possibly first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest scorers I think we've ever seen in NBA history, no doubt. But I think this now that he's not getting along with James Harden, you didn't get along with Russell Westbrook, I don't know the exact saying, but what's that saying? If you seem to have a problem with everybody around you, perhaps the problem is not everybody else. Perhaps the problem is you.
Right.
I'm now convinced that KD is and we listen. He had the burner account thing going on, right, where he was firing back at fans and players and stuff. He's arguing with guys apparently in the locker room. He's showing he's upset. Hey, for God's sakes, he's on his own Twitter arguing with media and fans. He's not even just trying to hide it. He's just like out in the open. I'm gonna just fight with everybody in social media, and you're never gonna win that fight. To me, KD is now. I'm not saying he's a cancer to the locker room or anything, but clearly the problem is more of an internal thing with himself, less of it's a problem with everybody else. Yes, Russ is still, I think, in his own right, an issue from time to time. Harden is clearly an issue from time to time on their own rights. But perhaps it's KD that has the deeper issues going on with him. I don't know. And now you've got Ben Simmons as your number 2, number 3, 4 guy, whatever you want to call him at this point. Now you have to put up with him? I mean, he's already not, from what I've understood, he's not even talking to Kyrie. So I don't know how this is going to go with the dynamic with Ben Simmons. I've lost the plot on how this works for Brooklyn. I really do. I don't see it happening. I can't.
I kind of gladly he's not talking to Kyrie.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what they come up with together about some flat earth stuff or
Right.
anything else. Hey, you stay in your corner, you stay in your corner.
Right.
Keep your own little philosophies to yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. It's so difficult to get a read on what the Brooklyn Nets are going to be now because they started off so great without Kyrie in the lineup. And then we thought, okay, if he's coming back for half the games at least for the rest of the season, we thought, oh, they're only going to get better. Clearly, though, obviously, KD got hurt. There's not much you can do. He's got to get healthy for them to get better, really. But clearly, there was a shift still in the dynamic where they just don't have enough. Patty Mills is a great player, but he can only do so much. Blake Griffin is a shell of what he used to be. He can dunk it still, but you're not seeing him go for the big dunk anymore. Aldridge, he's hanging on to a last-ditch effort, I think, to get a championship, right? I mean, I think we can kind of fly on that one. And I mean, listen, Seth Curry's a nice shooter, but he's a bench guy, right? And Andre Drummond, again, great defender, could work, but he's a bench guy. I just don't see it being a team that's going to be a championship roster now. Maybe if they're able to collectively get together, yes, but I just don't see it happening at this point, unless something shifts dramatically. But I mean, we don't know the timetable for Ben Simmons. We don't know when KD will officially be back. Sounds like he could be back sooner than maybe we think. And Kyrie, unfortunately, yes, the mandate thing like we said yesterday, the mandate thing should be applying, I think, for everybody, not just the players at home. It really should be equal for everybody. But the problem is that the mandate is only for these players. That's just the New York mandate. They've got to abide by that if they want to play him or not. So now you're kind of in a tough spot. What are you going to do? So I don't know. I mean, all these other teams, listen, Washington and New York, I think they're kind of washed out. Don't think it's going to happen. Brooklyn has a great chance, but they've got to pick up the pace. Toronto could maybe slip in there if Boston does fall off. I think they could swap back and forth. Charlotte might sneak in there. Atlanta, I think there's just too many question marks across the roster. Charlotte, and the only reason I say Charlotte is because they're young and talented enough, I think, to maybe make that push in the play-in tournament. But the East right now is kind of like wobbly, other than the top, which I think right now you could say the Eastern Conference has the most interesting run of the playoff 6 because everybody's very close into it. And one loss or a couple of losses in the week can change the entire dynamic of the playoff look. So I'm interested to see what happens. All right, let's get to the West. Let's get to the West here. So for the West, we've got the playoff 6. So what we're looking at here, we've got Phoenix sitting at the top spot. Golden State, obviously, fairly back now at this point, but still at number 2, followed by Memphis. Then it's Utah, then Dallas, and then Denver. So, TJ, I'll let you kick it off on this one, man. Of these teams in the playoff 6 for the Western Conference, who do you like? Excuse me, talking about the Western Conference makes me burp a little bit. Who do you like in the Western Conference? Who are some of the teams that you see being like the favorites? Obviously, there's one team that's certainly been at the top for a long time. But is there any team that you see maybe even falling out of this that you see could be the drastic fall off? And is there any team that you think has been the surpriser for these playoffs so far?
So I'm going with Phoenix.
Okay.
Phoenix just after seeing them go after the Bulls and basically pick them apart
Mm-hmm.
and just get it going, and then watching them the next night and pick apart everyone else. Like they picked apart the Lake Show. I mean, it was just and to see a whole team get together and be able to play ball like that. I don't know how you beat them without a dominant big man like Milwaukee or Philly had.
Right.
But even if you do, you still got to worry about their guards. So there's really no way that you can really attack them and really stop
Yeah.
them. The other one, I like Memphis. I mean, I like what they're doing. They're young. They're getting after ball. They play great defense, which I mean I haven't seen from Memphis in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I like Morant. Just everything about him, the swagger, getting in there. When he ripped that little kid about wearing the Lakers jersey.
Yeah.
And then I love that organization said, if you bring in another team's jersey, we'll give you a Morant jersey plus a ticket to the next game.
Yeah.
That's a great promotion. Yeah.
That's great promotion.
Get them wearing, all the kids are wearing Morant's jersey. That's great. Utah, I mean, Utah is like that, like Boston. Like they're always good, but they're not just good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Dallas and Denver are another one of those. They have potential, but they just are not going to get over the hump.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, Phoenix right now has to be the clear favorite, right? They're 6 games above Golden State. Steph is starting to come through a shooting slump, and I think a lot of it is just, right, everybody, they're at a pretty nice strength with Clay and everybody and all that stuff, but I think just the fact that now he's back and they've been trying to work this team without him, now the chemistry, I think, is a little bit upset. They're trying to figure out who they are. Plus, they're getting older, right? They're a little bit of an older team. I mean, Draymond is in his 30s. Steph and Clay are in their 30s. Like, they're not young pups anymore, so it might be slowing down a little bit for them. Memphis is incredibly fun. I love Ja Morant. I've got a Ja Morant jersey now at home, the old school Vancouver Grizzlies jersey. I had to do that. I love those Grizzlies jerseys. I love that look. Ja Morant's one of my favorite players to watch right now. He's killing it. He should be in that MVP conversation, I think, as well, with like DeMar DeRozan and guys. It's a shame that they don't get enough credit because for what he's done, I mean, clearly he's been the top man in Memphis. He's not the only guy, but he's been one of the big reasons why Memphis is where it's at right now. He's leading the charge as he should and taking command. We just did not expect this. I don't think anybody saw this coming from the Grizzlies. This is pretty miraculous what he's doing right now in Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm enthralled with them. Utah, man. How many times are we going to put our hearts on Utah to be like a really good playoff team and they just disappoint? What was it last year? Didn't we do this last year? We were like, Utah's going to be really good in the West, and then they ended up just kind of like throwing it away. I mean, I think we still called for that to happen, but we really kind of pressed like, no, this is a different Utah team, and Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell and Bogdanovich and Gobert and all. It's a really good studied team. But I have no faith at this point that they have the ability to push over the hump. And I think a lot of that just has to do with they're just missing that extra guy, right? The Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert dynamic really works well. They, I think, just need either 2 really good role players to step up, or they need that other star to step in Utah and help them climb. It just doesn't feel like it. I feel like they just don't have that yet. You know, I like Mike Conley as much as the next person maybe does, which is average. But you just need a bigger name in there, I think, to run the point. Or you need a bigger small forward than Engels, who I know is out now. But you need somebody other than Bogdanovich or Engels or somebody like that. You need somebody that can really step in and make plays. And yeah, Dallas and Denver, I can't. I like Luka. I like Jokic. They're great players. But you don't have Jamal Murray in Denver. That's a big complimentary piece that you need. And Michael Porter Jr., that's another big complimentary piece that you kind of need. In Dallas, you traded away Kristaps for Spencer Dinwiddie, which we still don't understand, I don't think. It's not making them any better. He's still a fine player, good two-way guard, but you needed a lot more for helping Luka. So, and I think Luka is going to be a guy like, listen, I've got this Max Steel thing on lock, so you got to help me. I need help. I can't do this by myself. He's trying. He seems to have kind of maybe shed off a little bit more of that baby fat that was on him. He seems to be a little bit better shape, but I just don't feel it right now. Not feeling it with Denver, not feeling it with Dallas. Right there with you, TJ. I can't do it with them. I love you, Luka, and I love you, Jokic. You want to come and play in Chicago, you're more than happy to. But I don't think Dallas or Denver, at this point, I feel like it's stagnant at this point. So let's get into these playing teams for the West, because who knows what's going to happen here, folks. It is a crapshoot with these teams. So you've got Minnesota right now kind of leading the charge. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're one of the only teams in this that in the play-in, as far as I can see, that I think is having a winning record in this situation. So good on the Good on for the Minnesota Timberwolves for having that ability. Oh, no, I'm mistaken. No, I'm not mistaken, because the Clippers actually have a losing record at this point. They're next, followed by the Los Angeles Lakers. Yikes. And finally is the Portland Trail Blazers, who, funny enough, are on a 4-game winning streak to get to that 10th spot. So hold on to your hats, Portland. You may be able to make it. Follow that up with 3 teams that are kind of in the hunt, being the New Orleans Pelicans, who have somehow actually found a way to stabilize themselves to be right there for the play-in tournament. Underneath them is the San Antonio Spurs, and underneath them right now is the Sacramento Kings. So, TJ, I'll toss it to you, man. This is obviously a very messy situation going on in the West. But I'll ask you this, man. Of these Western Conference teams that are in for the play-in tournament, is there anybody that you feel like is the favorite? Is there anybody that you feel like is going to completely drop out, that just is not going to make it, anything like that? And is there anybody that you possibly think in that bottom, in the hunt situation that could sneak their way in there? What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, as you said, like Minnesota, I like them. I think those guys are starting to really start to gel together. I think that they can make a little run. Yet again, not enough to make it into the finals. The Lake Show, it is a great all-star team from 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, but Westbrook isn't shooting he's not even driving the lane like he used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I see them probably maybe being able to make it to 7 if they get a good run. Portland, I think they're just on a 4-game streak because no one has any material on their team.
Right.
They have no idea how these guys are going to play together since they completely blew up the roster.
Right.
On the hunt, I can't go with New Orleans. I mean, I gave Zion the first season.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna put the bust label on you, but I'm not gonna adhere it. It's just gonna be there and just ready for me to just make it permanent.
Right.
So Sacramento, actually, watching them last night, they played really well, and I think the trades actually helped them getting rid of that crowded backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you had a true guard and you had good guard play and a mission with Sabonis down low. So I mean, I could see them making a little push.
Yeah.
Nothing serious, but I mean enough to get some butts in the seats.
Okay. I'll start off with the hunt. Like you said with Sacramento, I was talking with somebody today about it. We were kind of going like, the Tyrese Halliburton thing still doesn't make any sense to all of us, right? It's still a very weird trade. That was your future. I think he's clearly going to be at some point an all-star. He seems like that pure point guard that can take charge, be a scorer, be a threat with the pass. He's very talented. So Indiana has a future at least with him and Buddy Hield, because Buddy Hield's still young and still a great shooter. But I agree. After thinking about it, like I looked at the game and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? De'Aaron Fox was allowed to take command. Sabonis was allowed to be the number 2. No pressure on him to be the top guy, nothing like that. play defense, get the pass out, shoot your shot. You don't need to do a lot. And I think it really opened up a game a lot more for the Kings. And listen, I'm glad the Bulls won, but the Kings did have an opportunity to squeeze through the door and maybe get the win. Again, shout out to DeRozan for closing it out. But the Kings obviously look like they might have two pieces that you can kind of say, okay, if you are going to spend money and build around them, it looks like it may work, right? This could be the start of what we saw with the Bulls, right? You get these key pieces, you build around them. If you do it properly, if you spend the right money, you keep yourself in good place, you might be able to have a really solid team in the next year or two. I think the big thing is figure out the coaching thing. That's their biggest thing. Figure out who the coach is. Figure out who your guy's going to be leading that team. I think you're going to be there. Yeah, New Orleans, no. Zion, actually, it sounds like he's going to need second surgery on his foot. So that's not good because that tells me that he's on the verge of possibly being a player that has a very shortened career then because he needs that foot to push and bounce and come down on and jump and all that stuff. So, and listen, the CJ McCollum thing, he's been all right with them. Brandon Ingram's trying, but I don't think they've got enough of a power. Pop might be able to do it. I mean, congrats on passing Lenny Wilkins on the all-time list for wins. That's great for him. And he's like, 3 wins away, I think, from being the all-time leader in wins, I think it is at this point. That's great. I just don't think the Spurs are there anymore. I think they've lost a lot of their touch. I think Pop is going to get the record, maybe coach for another year or two, and then I think he's going to call it. I think he's getting tired. I think he's getting done. I think he wants Tim Duncan to just take the team over already and just be like, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to go do reporting. I'm going to do sideline stuff, or not sideline stuff. I'm going to broadcast, whatever. I think he's getting out of coaching very soon here himself. But, yeah, Portland, you blew up the team. I don't see it. Damian Lillard's out. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm impressed that they've been able to win without all that they've had. I mean, they're on a 4-game winning streak even after all those trades happened. That's pretty impressive. Maybe we're totally wrong on this. I have no idea, but they've been finding ways to win. I mean, they beat the Lakers, for God's sakes. Speaking of the Lakers, like you said, TJ, 10 years ago, they would have been great. And they just got Anthony Davis back, and now he's hurt again. And he's out 2 to 4 weeks, but that was a bad ankle injury. He might be out for the whole season, maybe. That did not look good. That did not look good at all. Or if anything, he's not going to be ready till playoff time. And by that point, they may be out of the tournament by that point. So I don't know. I don't know. Clippers, I think they're trying. I think they are trying. The talent's not reading like, oh, they're going to be competitive. That's the problem. No Kawhi. I believe Paul George is still out. I can't confirm or deny on that. Don't take my word on that just right away. If he is still playing, I haven't watched a lot of Clippers games. He can't be 100% at this point, but I feel like the Clippers at this point, they're kind of going to be a 500 team, back to the old ways. Minnesota, maybe. Anthony Edwards is playing out of his mind. D'Angelo Russell's actually been playing really well. Jordan McLaughlin, I think is his name, the point guard. I think they said for the month of January, month of January, 54 assists, 1 turnover. No other point guards ever had numbers like that before. That's insane. That's insane. And Karl Anthony Towns is dominating like he should. So this team could be a playoff team. They could outseed, I think, Denver or possibly Dallas if they have a slump. I think Minnesota could slide in there. I don't know if they do damage in the playoffs, but I think they're the only viable team that might actually have enough firepower, enough of a good coach, enough of talent to be able to compete in the playoffs. I don't know, win a series, but at least you'll be in the fight for a series. You might be able to win 2-3 games, push for a game 7. But I don't see them being a championship dream run team. If they do that, I'll buy an Anthony Edwards Timberwolves jersey. So now it's not going to happen. So, but that's it for the regular season, guys. Obviously, let us know who do you like in the playoff 6 for the Eastern and Western Conference. Who do you guys like for the play-in tournament, guys? Do you think anybody's going to possibly sneak in there? Our guy King BMAC has this to say. He says the Kings and Lakers have the best chance of improving their standing in the play in area there. Not going to make any noise in the playoffs, though. I agree with that. I do. they're a good enough team, and they've got enough players that they can make some decent noise. I agree, though, B-Mac. I don't think they've got enough that's going to be able to take them over the hump, if you will. So, but we'll see what happens. And when we do come back here, folks, we will be talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend in itself, because as we usually do, it's our annual picks and predictions for the NBA All-Star Weekend right here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. And welcome back here, ladies and gentlemen, to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin. Again, I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. Again, still snowing here, probably piling up in front of our cars and everything. God, I hope not. I really want to get out of here, but when we're done. But I'm still here with my guy TJ. We just talked about the NBA season as we're hitting the All-Star break. And speaking of the All-Star break, folks, yes, that's right. With the NBA All-Star break officially here, it's weekend time. That means we've got all the big moments happening. Now, one in particular, the skills challenge, unfortunately, I just kind of I don't really that's one for, at least for me, that, I mean, if you want us to do the skills challenge, we can answer it and all that stuff, but for the time being, I think we're just going to kind of stick with the ones here. But TJ, are you ready to do these quick picks and predictions for the NBA All-Star?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's do it then, folks. So we're starting this off with the ever classic, the NBA All-Star Slam Dunk Contest. So in this Slam Dunk Contest, we have Orlando Magic's Cole Anthony. We have Golden State's Juan Toscano Anderson. I hope I got that right. New York Knicks' Obi Toppin. And Houston Rockets' Jalen Green. So TJ, I'll let you go first. Of these four guys that are participating in the dunk contest, who of these four do you feel like is your guy to win the dunk contest? Who are you enthralled with? Who do you think is going to be the one that takes it?
So I don't get a lot of the outer market ones, but I would say probably Green is probably my guy. I don't see. I like Toppin, but I don't see many of these guys being able to get free and have those big, windmill dunks that I was used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe even some of the coaches that stop those guys from really kind of hot dogging, because when you do that, sometimes you kind of poke the bear a little too hard, and they wake up and you get the teeth.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Green, and it's going to be my pick for the slam dunk contest.
Okay, I like that. I like Jalen Green, too. The guy jumps out the gym. I would say of all of these, he's probably on my favorite list as well. I think Obi Toppin will have something for us. He's a wildly talented jumper. He can dunk. I did believe when he was at Dayton he was the next Vince Carter. I don't know if exactly he's on that level yet. I still think if he's put in the right situation, and I think the Knicks aren't the right situation, you let him kind of break free, I think he can be like an 18, 19-point scorer on his best. On his best, I think he can be that guy. But for where he's at, I think he's been very limited. But for what he can do as a dunker, I like his stuff. I think it'll be a toss-up between him. Juan Toscano Anderson, I've kind of watched a little bit of his highlights. I didn't know much about him. Guy can fly. Guy's got hops. He can jump. So I think he could be competitive. All these guys could be competitive. Cole Anthony, I like him. I know he's got hops. The guy's got like a 45-inch vertical or whatever it is. He's insanely athletic with that. I listen, Jalen Green, because of his size and his speed and his ability to kind of accelerate. I agree with you, TJ, because of what we've seen him do in games, in competition. I think Jalen Green's the clear cut winner on this thing. And not only that too, but let's also be honest. There's a little bit of favoritism that goes into this, and Jalen Green certainly caught the eye of a lot of people, and I'm sure the judges are keeping an eye on a guy like Jalen Green, who was first round pick, right, number 2 overall pick. Clearly, a lot of people really like him. A lot of people are really in love with this guy, so I think he's going to win it for sure. All right, next. We've got the NBA All-Star 3-point contest. So take it for what it is. Obviously, this could be very interesting to watch how this one plays out. But for this one, so you've got CJ McCollum from New Orleans. You've got Atlanta's Young. Obviously, he's going to be in this. Trae Young's going to be in there as well. Zach LaVine, TJ, correct me on this. Do you know by any chance, is he not participating in this? Because I know he's still recovering from injury. I don't believe I haven't heard anything that he will or won't be. But if you know, do you have any confirmation on if he will by any chance?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything yet about that.
Okay.
I think he's day to day with that. With his injury.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to check. I hadn't heard any news. I wanted to see if you knew, or if anybody else does know about it, please let us know. I have not been able to find anything that says whether he will or won't be participating. Going on there. But so outside of Zach LaVine, you've got Desmond Bane from Memphis. He's been excellent for that team so far in 3-point shooting, being the shooting guard. Karl Anthony Towns will be in this as the best 3-point shooting big man in the league for sure. Fred VanVleet, as we know, he's a specialist when it comes to shooting those threes. Luke Kennard's another 3-point specialist guy. And Patty Mills will also make his appearance for being such an excellent 3-point shooter. So no Steph Curry in this one. A little bit shocking, but TJ, a lot of names in this thing as it stands right now. Is there anybody for you that's standing out that you really like in this? Is there anybody that you think is not going to do very well in this? I mean, what are your thoughts for your pick? Who's your pick for the 3-point contest?
So, I mean, I'd love to be a homer and tell you LaVine, honestly.
Yeah.
I know that he's worked on that shot, and he deserves to be in there with the shooting and all that. But I just, honestly, if all the Bulls could get away from not even playing and kind of resting up, I would love that.
Yeah.
For shooters, I would probably either put my money on Van Fleet or, I love Patty Mills. I mean, just him just getting out and just shooting the ball. It's just, I don't know. It's something about it. Like, I like him. I just, Trae Young, I just don't see him as that shooter that can win any of those a 3-point championship.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Patty Mills, man. I mean, listen, you want to talk about ultimate adjust your game for the times. I mean, he's 40 years old, still can fly down the court, but he's now said, I'm not driving to the basket anymore. I'm going to stay here, hit my jumpers, hit my threes. And he did that in San Antonio, and he's still doing it in Brooklyn, and he's excellent. I like that. I like that pick. I'm going to go with Fred VanVleet. I like VanVleet a lot. I've always have since his days in Toronto. I'm with you, LaVine. I'd really like for him maybe not to participate. Sounds like he's going to be in this one. He's going to participate in the 3, and he'll be playing in the All-Star game. He might not play a lot, but it sounds like he will be participating in the weekend. Not my favorite thing to hear, but okay, if he can do it, fine, as long as he doesn't re-injure anything. But I'm going to go with VanVleet. I think he's got a great stroke. I like his jumper. I like his ability to hit threes. He's very consistent. If I had to go for a second guy, I think Trae Young would be there. I know Trae Young's probably the favorite, but I like VanVleet. I think VanVleet could be like one of those dark horses, like Patty Mills, that could come out of nowhere, hit a bunch of threes. They're very consistent shooters. Trae Young's a little bit streaky from time to time at the 3. He's good, but he's a little bit streaky at times. But I'll go with VanVleet, and you're taking Patty Mills then, TJ?
Yeah,
Is that what you're going?
Take Patty Mills.
Okay, I like that. All right, next we've got the Rising Stars challenge, I guess, or tournament, I guess we got to call it. So this is interesting now for the NBA. So the way that the Rising Stars Challenge, or I guess tournament, whatever you call it, basically how they're going to be doing this is that the NBA has decided that they're going to split up the stars into different rosters. That's how this is going to work. It's going to be a mini tournament in the series. So how this is going to work? You've got 12 rookies, 12 sophomores from last year's draft class and this year's draft class coming together. Each team will have, and you also have, I guess, 4 members of the NBA G League Ignite team. So all the high school guys that went straight to the G League, you'll get a few of those guys in the developmental squad being there. The coaches are Rick Barry, Gary Payton, Isaiah Thomas, and James Worthy. Big name legends of the game, right? We all know these guys from the NBA. If you know NBA, you know who these guys are. They're all the coaches. They had the draft of 7 rounds, 24 players. Everybody selected their teams, right? They got their players and stuff. What they're aiming for is a final score of 75, I think it is. Yeah, the race, it's 75 for the 75th anniversary of the season. How it'll work, I guess, is the teams will be playing each other in kind of elimination style, round robin type of thing. And then at the end of it, of course, the teams with the wins is going to be there to play in the final game is going to be, I guess, game 3, which will be played to 25 points. So that's the deal, is that first 2 games will be played to 50. Last game will be played to 25. So of these teams, so real quick, Team Barry consists of Cade Cunningham, Dyson Daniels, Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro, Alperen Sengun, Jayshawn Tate, and Franz Wagner. Team Isaiah consists of Precious Achewa, Desmond Bain, Sadiq Bey, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Jaden Hardy, and Isaiah Stewart. Team Peyton consists of LaMelo Ball, Scotty Barnes, Ayo Dosunmu, Chris Girardi, Scoot Henderson, Bones Highland, Jonathan Kuminga, Jaden McDaniels, and Davion Mitchell. And then Team Worthy has Cole Anthony, Marjan Buchamp, Josh Giddey, Jalen Green, Herbert Jones, Tyrese Maxey, and Jalen Suggs. I know that's a lot, and how it's been set up is the brackets are Game 1 is Team A versus Team B. Game 2 is Team C versus Team D. And then Game 3 is the winner of Game 1 and the winner of Game 2. So real quick, simple elimination. 1, 2, 3, boom, we got the games. So TJ, I know I just said a lot there, but of those teams, if you need me to repeat them, let me know. But what of these teams, who do you think is winning the All-Star mini tournament?
So for the Rising Stars, you had me at Asumu. Honestly, LaMelo and Asumu, right there, that backcourt.
Yeah.
That's a guy who can score and a guy who can play defense and is going to be able to find guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was absolutely shocked when the Bulls got him. Man, I sound like a homer, but I mean, the guy's played great defense. He's lived up, and you got LaMelo. I don't. The other one that could do is, I do like Wagner on Team Barry.
Yeah.
But after that, yeah, I'm not impressed with the other team.
Okay. I would say right now, Team Barry and Team Peyton are right now my favorites, and I agree. I'm going with Team Peyton all the way. LaMelo Ball and Ayo Dosunmu being the backcourt. Not to mention Davion Mitchell, who's also with the Kings, by the way. For those who don't remember, they like we said, that crowded backcourt that they had. Davion Mitchell's now going to take over for Buddy Hield, and he's a really good defender. So you've got Ayo Dosunmu, who's been really good on a two-way, but he's more of a defender. Davion Mitchell, who's really more of a defender. LaMelo's a jack of all trades at this point. Not great defender, but he's a jack of all trades offensively. Scotty Barnes dominates, and he's huge. I mean, he's electrifying. I'm kind of sad he's not in the dunk contest. I would have liked to see what he could do. He's impressive. Girardi's a really good two-way guy, really good 3-and-D kind of player. Bones Highland, he's a fighter. I like the way that he is. Scoot Henderson's one of the G League Ignite guys. He's an explosive guy as well. I like Kuminga a lot. A lot of people don't like Kuminga. I've liked Jonathan Kuminga since he came out into the G League Ignite. I think he can be a really special player for the Golden State Warriors. There's another guy I want to see in the dunk contest. Ja Morant probably more than anybody else, but I would love to see Barnes and Kuminga be in a future dunk contest. Think those guys could put it down. And Jaden McDaniels is a really good guy that comes off the bench for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's a really nice, solid power forward that plays some limited time, but he can get rebounds, defense, can hit a few shots. I think Team Payton right now is my favorite as well. And it's, yes, a little biased because of Io. Let's be honest, a little bit biased because of Io. But he's been so good, and this team honestly reads like what could be a future all-star roster, maybe. I'm honest. Don't tell me LaMelo Ball, who, by the way, is an all-star, Scotty Barnes, who's probably on his way to being an all-star at this point, Dosunmu, if he keeps growing, is probably going to be an all-star. Girardi's probably going to, at some point, be an all-star. Kuminga might have the chance to be an all-star. Mitchell might have the chance to be. There's guys on this roster that I legit think by next year or 2 years from now could be all-star players. And, yeah, I agree with you, man. Anthony Edwards being on Team Isaiah and Halliburton, that looks nice, but I don't know how that's going to play out. Worthy. I like Josh Giddey and Jalen Green. I think they're really good players, but I don't feel like they're going to make much of a difference for their team. I think it's going to come down to Team Barry, and I think it's going to come down to Team Payton. I think they did the best job drafting the right guys, getting the right players. Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro, and Franz Wagner. You had me right there on those guys alone. You add in a Dyson Daniels and Epson Sengun, these guys who are really tough guys. I hope this is the final of Barry versus Payton because I think that's going to be a great game. That's going to be the game where you're like, so this is the future all-stars of the NBA. This is what we're looking at right now. Not to say the others aren't, but those two teams I think are like, those are going to be the top players in the league for 10 plus years. Could be wrong. You can argue with it, but I'm going with Team Payton as well. And lastly, but not least, the NBA All-Star Game. Yes. Team Durant versus Team LeBron. As of right now, from what I've understood, the over-under, the spread for this game, the line is at 5.5, favored towards LeBron. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out. This is going to be interesting. The over-under is at 318.5 for the points. TJ, Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Do you need me to read off the rosters? I can read off the rosters real quick if you want.
Yeah, real quick, if you can just.
Okay, yeah. Let me hold. Sorry, folks. The internet's giving me a little bit of a problem here. I'll get the rosters up real quick. All right, here we go. So we have for Team LeBron, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. We have Steph Curry. We have DeMar DeRozan. We have Nikola Jokic. And, of course, LeBron himself, of course, as the starters. Of the bench guys, we have Luka Doncic, excuse me. We have Darius Garland. We also have Chris Paul, his friend, of course. We then have Jimmy Butler. Sorry, I'm trying to get through these the best that I can. We have Jimmy Butler. We have Donovan. Then we have Donovan Mitchell. Then we have Fred VanVleet. And, of course, who will not be playing, James Harden. So, for Team Durant, for Team KD, if you will. KD of himself, of course, starter. You have Joel Embiid. You have Ja Morant. You have Jason Tatum. You have Andrew Wiggins. And you have Trae Young. And of the reserves, if you will, LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, Rudy Gobert, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, DeJounte Murray, Karl Anthony Towns, and Draymond Green. By the way, replacing James Harden for the All-Star is Jarrett Allen, center for the Cleveland Cavaliers on Team LeBron. So, TJ, 5.5-point favorite towards LeBron James right now. 318.5 for the over-under on points. How you seeing this game go? Who you taking?
So my guess would be probably Team LeBron.
Okay.
I like a lot more of the talent there. Uh, it seems like it's a lot of LeBron's buddies, and I think that'll help them win.
Hmm.
I mean, so I'm gonna give it. I'll take the five. I'll take the 5.5. You know, I think they'll win by more than that.
Yeah.
Over under. I used to actually be friends with a bookie, and he would laugh. He goes, "You're a dummy if you ever take the under in an All-Star game in basketball." He goes, "No one plays defense.
Yeah.
Everyone just goes out there and they shoot their shot. And if they don't, sometimes oops, you accidentally stole the ball from me.
Right.
Give another try."
Exactly.
There's no monetary difference if you win or lose. You're there to have fun. Well, I mean, most of the guys. There are some that are still have a little chip on their shoulder, but yeah, I would definitely go with the over on that.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, just for everybody to understand too, yes, KD is out. He's out with his injury, so keep that in mind as well. But yeah, listen, I gotta go with Team LeBron on this too. Listen, KD. It's not like KD didn't do good on picking the right players. He picked a lot of guys that can score, right? He got Devin Booker, Trae Young, Andrew Wiggins, John Morant. These are guys that are dropping points. Obviously, Joel Embiid is too. Yeah, but LeBron's got this is the thing though, right? KD probably looks at this and is like, it's the All-Star break. We're all here to chill. We're all here to have fun. As much as I know people say I hate LeBron, the one thing I can say is that man always wants to compete and wants to win. He's not Mamba mentality like Kobe, but he's got something similar to what Kobe does in that he wants to kick butt. He wants to win. He wants to prove that he can dominate. I fully expect him to be the dominant force in this whole thing with this game. I fully think LeBron's going to win this thing. I fully think they cover on that spread. I would definitely take the over on this. Last year, they hit 320 points total, 170 to 150. That was the final score of the game. A difference of 20 points in that. So expect the same thing. I would say probably it could maybe even go over that by a good 330, maybe even more, because there's a lot of shooting on this one. There's a lot of scoring that could happen in this. Yeah, I feel the same way. Who would ever take the under on this game? God forbid if it actually did go under, right? If it actually was like a 98 to 99 game or 99 to 98 game or something like that, I think everybody would be like, the hell's wrong with everybody? They're hungover from the night before? What happened? You would be shocked if they did not score 100 plus points on each side of the court. I could not see it happening at all. To our guy, King BMAC, he also had this to say. He said, Levine and Mills are the favorites here for the three-point contest. I wholeheartedly believe that. He said Luke Kennard's going to be his dark horse. He said some of these guys, are good in game. Three-point shooters, but I think Levine, Mills, Kennard, and probably Young have the better rhythm stroke you need for a contest. I agree with that. They've all got really sweet shots. They really do. I mean, it's not like a screwball kind of shot where it's going straight in, right? It's that kind of perfect arc. It goes right up there, just drops right in. I mean, obviously, if Steph was in this thing, he would be the clear-cut favorite. But of these, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like Van Vliet might be that dude. I do. I like to go with a little bit of the underdog, right? Just like Patty Mills, a little bit of the underdog. But B-Mac's right there with you, TJ. He agrees on that. He does have a sweet shot. I don't blame anybody for taking the. You never know with these guys. They're all some of the best 3-point shooters anyway. So who can blame them, right? Who can blame them? I just you know what I want to see. I want to see the worst 3-point shooters take the 3-point contest. That's what I want. I want the worst 3-point shooters to do a 3-point contest to see who's the best.
You want like a Joakim Noah out there shooting threes?
Yes, Joakim Noah, Shaq. Somebody's got to do the old school Wilt Chamberlain kind of with the baby shot, or whatever, with the flick of the wrist thing.
Can we get a Barry under the granny shot also?
Please, please, right? What is his kid's still in college? I think his kid's still in college, and he shoots and he does the underhand thing at Florida too, which is great. I love that. I love that he still does that. Just as a little shake it like his dad and stuff, and he nails it every time. And everyone's like, you can't blame him. His dad taught him that one. Goes in every time. I love it. I really do. He also had to say, he said, I'd be shocked if it isn't Team Peyton or Team Isaiah. Yeah, I could. I mean, Team Isaiah, I'm not sold on them. But Team Peyton, I definitely think is going to be like a favorite team. And then he also says, can we get your boy Ben out there for it? I don't, you know what? For the 3-point contest, yeah, I'm all for that, actually. I'm all for it. Ben, prove yourself, man. Although, watch him be like in that moment, he just nails like every shot, right? Like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, so now you can hit it. But that's because no defender is near him. So, yeah. King BMAC also says, he said, I paid good money to see him just stay at the first rack of balls, letting the time tick out because he's scared to shoot in a 3-point contest. I would too, BMAC. I would be there right with you, man. And I say let's suggest not just the best players at these positions, the worst skilled guys, the worst 3-point shooters, the worst dunkers. Let's get the worst of everything. If we're gonna do the best, let's also do the worst, right? Let's have a little bit of fun here while we're at it, right? And if you're gonna do all-stars, let's do no stars. How about that? Like everybody that's like a bottom bench dude, like and a couple of G League guys, right? Get together and play like the no stars game, something like that. I think that would be entertaining. That's the little thought for you, NBA. A little something to think about for your marketing situation there. I'd be all for that too, B-Mac. I agree with you. All right, well, folks, that's going to do it for the All-Star stuff. Obviously, weekend's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully, they don't disappoint. I don't feel like it will. I think they've got some good stuff going on here. Really excited, I think, for the Rising Stars Challenge more than anything. Excited to see how that goes. But when we do come back here, folks, we're going to answer some of your fan questions because, as always, we love to hear from you guys. If you want to email us, of course, your questions or comments, you guys can email us at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com, or you can hit us up also on the Twitch chat or on YouTube as well, the YouTube chat. We are simulcasting to both. You can hit us up there as well at xbombs, twitch.tv/xbombsports, and xbombsports as YouTube as well. And we'll be back right here with that and more here on the Xbomb Sports Live Show. Welcome back here, folks, to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I'm still Andrew Valentin. I'm still here with my man, TJ, and we are talking about the NBA. We have been for quite a while. We talked about the season. We just talked about the All-Star. We gave the NBA a chance to call what our guy BMAC is saying non-star weekend. I love that. Me and TJ were just talking. We should have a little bit of a non-star challenge, if you will, where everybody's bottom player on their team has to get into a challenge, basically. You earn points in the challenges. Team's worst player with the most points at the end of it gets the #1 pick. I think that would eliminate tanking then. Gives you a chance, and also gives you a chance to see what your lesser players might be able to do. So food for thought for you, NBA. We're helping you to be better because you're already the top league, I think, in the USA at this point. But we want you to be even better than what you are. So Adam Silver, hit us up. All right, well, folks, obviously, it's that time again. We did it yesterday. I want to do it some more. Answering your fan questions. Yes, we have your fan questions here, folks, and I want to be able to answer more of your questions. We had a bunch here. Unfortunately, Drew not being here, he had some questions directed towards him, so unfortunately, he won't be able to answer these. But, Drew, just so you know, these people love you. These people want to hear from you, man, so keep in mind, I'll give you these questions maybe at a later date as well, too, man. So, but with that being said, let's get to this. So for the first question, this comes from our wonderful listener, Amanda. She is from Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you so much, Amanda, for this question. She says, guys, my boyfriend and I watch your show all the time. I'm a diehard Tennessee Titans fan. I've really liked and enjoyed watching the team over these years now, and I'm very impressed with it. It's unfortunate, though, that we have not been able to reach the Super Bowl at this point in time. But after what I saw this year against the Cincinnati Bengals, I have to ask this question to you guys. is because I've been arguing this with my boyfriend while discussing. She said, well, she says discussing and then into arguing, but yeah, I understand what you're saying, Amanda. But she says, I've been discussing this and then arguing this with my boyfriend. Do you think that Ryan Tannehill needs to be moved out of the Tennessee Titans in order for Tennessee to actually be able to make the Super Bowl? Do you think they need to make an upgrade for a player such as Deshaun Watson or an Aaron Rodgers type of quarterback to be at that next competitive level? Love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate the question. TJ, I'll start with you, man. Do you think that the Tennessee Titans, after what we've seen now from this team with him as quarterback, they've made the playoffs, but they've not made the Super Bowl? Do you think they need to move off of Ryan Tannehill?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Ryan Tannehill is a very good game manager quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that only gets you to the playoffs. It doesn't get you far in the playoffs. You need to have a guy that's going to be able to get that, be able to put the team on his back when, let's say, Derrick Henry's not being able to play or he's getting stuffed at the goal line. You probably need to I would say, draft a quarterback maybe first, and first, maybe in that second round, you try and get a quarterback that you can build on and see what you can do, because I think Aaron Rodgers and Watson are going to cost you too much. Rodgers is going to cost you too much to get. It's going to probably be, I would say that Green Bay would want 2 first-rounders.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson, I mean, he could go to jail anytime, so that's not someone you really want to build around. So,
right.
But I mean, you could keep Tannehill around for this season until you could groom someone to step in. That's my opinion on that.
Okay. I'm in the same kind of boat with you, actually. Tannehill, I think, needs to go. I mean, if I haven't been adamant about that now, I can't make it any more clear. He throws an interception on the first play of the game against the Bengals. I said, game over. The Bengals have already won this thing. He's going to lose this game if he does it again. And sure enough, the Mike Hilton play, yeah, it happens. He judged it perfect. But then you throw the other interception. Logan Wilson's sitting in the zone. You throw it, and he jumps on it. You should have. How do you not see him there? He was right there. If you look at the replay, Logan Wilson jumps that route beautifully, as a linebacker should, stepping right in front, about a yard ahead of the receiver, making a great catch, making a great interception. And at that point, I said, Ryan Tannehill's lost this game for them. They don't have a chance. They don't. I mean, they had some chances, but by that point, I felt by that first interception, I said, game over. In the 3 years he's been in Tennessee, he is 30-13. He's got a winning record, a strong winning record, right? He's got 10,000 passing yards, 76 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. That's pretty good. And a 67 completion percentage. That's all really solid stuff. Problem is, when he gets to the playoffs, they need him to show up more. They need a quarterback that can hang with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and obviously Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, a guy of that caliber that can throw it, and he can't sling it. So, unfortunately, I agree with you, TJ. I think they have to move off of Tannehill. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is the answer. Deshaun Watson's a lot of a risk, and I don't really know if Nashville would be a really embracing place for him. But I think I agree. Draft a quarterback, develop a quarterback behind him, get him ready. Make sure, though, it is a quarterback that you feel has the ability and arm strength to get it to A.J. Brown, but the clear-cut ability to also be able to hand it off to Derrick Henry and be satisfied with that. Have an elite quarterback ready in the wings, or a quarterback that's good enough to help you get over the hump. All right? So the next question we have is coming from our guy Marcus from Chicago, Illinois. Marcus says, I'm a huge Cubs fan, and it sucks that we're not having baseball. We may not even have baseball at all this year. It's all in capital letters, too, by the way. He's not happy that we're not having baseball. He says, I'm a big baseball fan, and I really want to see the Cubs be better. But I want to ask you guys this question, and I know Brandon's now gone, but if you can, reach out to Brandon and ask him this question, too, because I'm sure he'd want to answer this. Do you think that any of the 2016 Cubs players, or do you think of any of the Cubs players from the 2016 championship season will ever return back for this upcoming season for the Cubs if and when the lockout does actually break? TJ, what do you think, man, for the Cubs? Do you think that any of those guys, Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, do you think any of them are going to come back? I know there's been a lot of talks that maybe there's something in the works that maybe some of them might be able to come back, but what are your thoughts? Do you think any of them actually do come back?
So if you would have asked this question 2 weeks ago, I would have told you probably no.
Okay.
I think they're very happy with Schwindel at first. He's going to be a nice, serviceable player. You're going to get probably 4 years out of him, and he'll be able to play for you, and he'll keep it going. I mean, he's not going to bat 340 and have 50 home runs, but
Yeah.
he'll do well.
Right.
But now that you have the universal DH, that opens it up. That I could see you bringing back Rizzo,
Mm-hmm.
and Rizzo has the problems with his back. You start switching in and out, Schwindel and Rizzo. That's a good deal for me. I mean, I like that he's good defensively, and he doesn't have to play every day. You can DH him. He's a fan favorite.
Right.
No problems. The other one is Schwarber. I mean, Schwarber is at DH. I mean, you want to be in left field once in a while. That's fine.
Right.
We'll put you out there once in a while,
Right.
but not every day.
No.
He could be your DH. So I could see him coming back. Those are the only two. I don't see them ever bringing back Baez. I mean,
Mhm.
especially for a DH. That's rough.
Yeah.
And I think Chris Bryant's going to want too much money. So
Yeah.
my bet would be Rizzo and or Schwarber coming back. That's the best bet.
TJ's reading my mind all day on this, ladies and gentlemen. I agree. Schwarber's the only one, but you're gonna have to pay for him. I feel like you're gonna have to pay some serious cash to get him. I feel like he's gonna, because of the season that he had last year and the way that he's really kind of accelerated his career, especially after leaving the Cubs. I feel like dude's really gonna be asking for big bucks, right? Rizzo sounds like he might want to do the hometown discount, just come back to Chicago. But I agree. He's not going to be an everyday guy. You're going to have to find a way to fit him into the DH most likely, or find a way to kind of swap him in and out. The back thing is just too much of a concern. Bryant's content with being back home in the West Coast. I don't know where Baez really wants to be. Now, I got nothing on where that guy really wants to be at this point. I don't know where he actually wants to play. But, yeah, I agree. Schwarber and Rizzo are probably your two best bets. I don't know anybody else, though, of that crew that might want to be back. I feel like Wilson Contreras hardly wants to be there as it is. So I don't know. And I don't know where the Cubs are at right now. It's tough. But I think if you're going to say anything, those two could come back and bring maybe a little bit more stability back to the organization. If anything, maybe give them something to help transition to the future team. And the last question we got, and we'll answer this and then we'll get out of here. This is from Sean. He's from Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you again for this, Sean. He says, I'm in Las Vegas. I've always been a UNLV fan. I've actually been watching them since they were the Running Rebels from Frank Tarkanian, the Shark. So I've always been about Las Vegas, but I'm from LA, and I've always grown up as a Lakers fan. My dad actually was, and my grandfather actually was the ball boy at one of the very first Lakers games when they moved to Los Angeles. That's really awesome. I can't believe that's cool. Playing with George McCann and all those dudes. If you don't know George McCann, look him up. He was very good for his time. But he said, I've been a diehard Lakers fan my whole life, but now I just feel like I can't do it with this team anymore, and I'm so frustrated. I don't want to blame any of the players, but Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. Russell Westbrook doesn't seem to fit. Do you think that the Lakers, what can the Lakers do to change their losing ways and get back to winning for the future? TJ, what do you think? I mean, we've talked a lot on LeBron and Russ and all this kind of stuff with the Lakers at times, but what are your thoughts on what can fix the Lakers for the future? What do you think has to happen to get them back to winning for the future?
So I think the only thing that would be able to help them is actually, unfortunately, to blow it up.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is a very good center. He can't stay healthy though, and he's getting beat up now in the middle. So
Yeah.
he can't rebound. True centers are really pushing him around. So Westbrook isn't all that great. I mean, he's not the one he was.
Yeah.
So and LeBron can carry the team, but from what I've heard, he just doesn't want to jive with the younger guys, and it kills him. And so I mean, you'd have to somehow maybe convince LeBron to go somewhere else and trade him. I mean, to someone that would want him, because as long as you have him and you have those guys sitting there, you're really not going to be able to win because you can't stay healthy long enough.
Yeah. Again, reading my mind, man. Listen, the AD news coming out that he's now injured again and he's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, and I'm guessing it might be longer because again, that ankle injury looked bad. That might be like a way more than a month's missed time. LeBron, I think, is getting frustrated. He doesn't want to play with the young guys. He doesn't want to mesh with guys that go out at night to the clubs and date all the beautiful women and stuff because he's the at-home dad now. He goes from practice to home, hangs out with his kids and his wife and all that stuff. Understandable, right? He's an older player, but if you're not connecting with the younger guys, you need those younger legs to help you win. This is an old group of dudes. This is an old group of players. They're not as healthy as they should be. Russ doesn't really fit the system. And apparently, according to what I've understood, Rob Pelinka in the front office for the Lakers at the deadline were putting their foot down in front of LeBron saying, you're not going to dictate how this team goes. We've got to save the draft picks, because he was wanting to flip some of the younger guys like Talon Horn Tucker apparently and get rid of draft picks to bring in better players. I get he wants to go for a championship. I get that the Lakers still want to win a championship too. But at some point, you have to say, what is our future going to look like, right? What is the future going to look like? Because like with the Los Angeles Rams, right? Everything's great right now because you just won a title. It's all for that. But the organization is the one that's got to look down the line 5-6 years from now and say, well, we have no draft picks. We have nothing. Like, we have nothing but money we have to invest then into all these other guys, right? That's where they're stuck. The Lakers are kind of in the same wrap, right? Bring in all these older players, trade away all the draft picks to get all these guys. It's not working. Well, now I want to change things around. Well, too bad, because now the report is that this might be the team for next year. And if that's the case, that's not good. So I agree. I think you got to trade Anthony Davis. I think that's the biggest thing you got to do. I don't think you can move Russ because of that contract. LeBron is going to have to make the decision himself that he's going to leave, I think, at this point. And you have to fill the roster in with young talent that's going to help support the older guys. They don't have much of a choice at this point. I don't know what else they can do. I really don't. But I think that's the best thing they can do is trade Anthony Davis and start filling the roster with young guys. LeBron may not like it, but then you can tell him, well, then you hit the bricks. Because we have a future we have to build. You made us cast out Lonzo and Brandon Ingram. They could have still been the future. You made us get rid of Kyle Kuzma. I know he's not doing great in Washington, but he's still playing halfway decent. You made us get rid of the future. Now we've got to rebuild. Anthony Davis got to go. Well, that's going to do it for us here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you guys so much for the questions. I appreciate it. Thank you to Amanda, Marcus, and Sean. Please keep them coming in, guys. We've got a lot of questions we're going to be answering farther down the line. We're going to be playing more games, things like that. I know a lot of you guys want to do player swap. We'll be getting to that here very soon. TJ, as always, man, thank you so much for joining us, man. Thank you so much for helping us out, man. Please let the people know where they can find you, listen to you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no problem. It's TJ Nacker on Facebook, and Nack300 on Instagram is where you can find me. On television, I'm on the Below the Whistle on Tuesday and on X-Bombs Wednesday and Thursday, normally back here at the computer.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to go follow TJ. Hit him up. Let him know that he's been doing a great job. He's been killing it. Any questions you got for him, obviously hit him up at Nack300, man. He is really smart when it comes to sports stuff. You guys want to follow me? I'm at TheFluffyGuru on Twitter, but I'm also at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram as well, so make sure to go follow me there. Guys, make sure to like and follow our page on Facebook. It is at XBombSport, Facebook.com/Team XBomb Sports, where you guys can check us out. Make sure to go see us there. Follow us, like us for all the updates on the show. We're back on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen, and on YouTube, where you guys can catch us. So Twitch and YouTube, we go live simultaneously on the simulcast. We go 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Hit us up there. Also, too, follow us on our social media at XBomb Sports on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And any questions or any comments you have for us, hit us up at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys on there. Also, too, Blow the Whistle on the radio, sportsoundchicago.com. Check us out every Monday, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time. Check me and David and Tyler out as we talk sports there. And then we flip it over on Tuesday where we do the live show, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Central Time here on the Twitch TV. That's twitch.tv/XBombSports. And we will simulcast at some point on YouTube as well. Also, guys, too, check out Money Motivation with Hannah B, done by our very own Hannah Brummer. It is a great podcast that you can find on Spotify, Odyssey, and iHeartRadio. Also, check her out on 102.3 XLC, The Afternoon Drive, 3 to 7 p.m. Central Time. She's on the radio, killing it. Make sure to say what's up, give her some love as she's doing her thing on the radio. Check out our boys from the Parlay, our guy Tony Lopez and former Chicago Bull and former professional boxer Kendall Gill, as they talk all things combat sports, boxing, MMA, everything you need at theparlay.com. Check out the guys as well from the Fake Football Guys on YouTube at Fake Football Guys. It's JC and Dustin doing their thing, talking about everything that you need for sports and everything that you need for all your fantasy football looks. So if you're looking for that, check out the Fake Football Guys on YouTube. And before we go, too, guys, make sure to check out Sharp Action Show. That's right. It's a new show that me and TJ are helping to produce. Go check them out. It's at Sharp Action Show on Instagram. We will be going live
in about 30 minutes or so, we'll be going live on Instagram. Go check it out. It's at Sharp Action Show, guys. Go check it out. It's great stuff. You get all the best betting tips you can possibly get. And with that, folks, we're going to see you guys all next week. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.